Human psychology is a labyrinth of hidden mechanisms, subconscious forces, and ancient instincts that shape every thought you have, every decision you make, and every version of yourself you present to the world. Today you're going to discover 8 psychological facts so fascinating, and at times unsettling, that by the end you'll see your mind with new eyes. Let's begin with the first one. The illusion of truth effect. Your brain has a strange tendency to believe information not because it's accurate, but because it's familiar. When something is repeated often enough, no matter how absurd, your mind starts accepting it as truth. This is why rumors spread like wildfire, why propaganda works, and why you might still believe negative things about yourself that someone told you years ago. Your mind confuses repetition with reality. The second psychological fact dives into something even more personal. People don't perceive you as you are. They perceive you through the filter of their own expectations, fears, and assumptions. This is called schema-driven perception, and it means that once someone assigns you a mental role, hero, villain, threat, joke, or ally, almost everything you do gets interpreted through that lens. This is why you can explain yourself repeatedly and still feel misunderstood. People aren't responding to the real you. They're responding to the version of you they've already created in their minds. The third fact is one that deeply challenges the idea of free will. Most of your decisions are made emotionally before your conscious mind rationalizes them. Neuroscientists call this post hoc rationalization, and it means your emotional brain acts first, while your logical brain comes after to create a neat explanation. You don't choose based on logic. Logic simply justifies the choice you've already emotionally made. From the partners you're drawn to the risks you avoid, to the opportunities you pursue, your emotions are driving far more than you believe. The fourth psychological fact is one that influences relationships, careers, money choices, and even self-esteem. Humans fear loss twice as much as they value gain. This principle, known as loss aversion, explains why people stay in toxic relationships, cling to failing plans, or refuse to leave their comfort zone. The mind exaggerates what you might lose while minimizing what you might gain. Change feels dangerous not because it is, but because your brain is wired to overprotect the familiar. This leads us to the fifth psychological truth, which lies at the heart of emotional suffering. Most people don't fear pain itself. They fear the vulnerability required to face it. This is why the brain relies on avoidance coping, a strategy where it shields itself from discomfort by running, denying, distracting, or numbing. Many people aren't stuck due to lack of ability. They're stuck because facing their own unresolved emotions feels too terrifying. Healing is often less about learning something new and more about confronting what you've avoided for years. The sixth psychological fact reveals something surprisingly liberating. You think everyone is judging you, watching you, evaluating your every mistake, but they're not. This is the spotlight effect, the tendency to believe you are the center of attention far more than you actually are. In reality, people are so consumed with themselves, their insecurities, their worries, their inner doubts, that they barely notice most of what you say or do. Understanding this frees you. It loosens the grip of social anxiety and reminds you that you're not being observed nearly as intensely as you imagine. Now let's talk about the seventh fact, one rooted in ancient survival instincts. Your brain is wired to prioritize negative experiences over positive ones. This is known as negativity bias, and it's the reason you can receive 10 compliments but feel ruined by one criticism. Your ancestors survived by remembering threats, not sunsets. But in the modern world, this bias distorts your perception, making problems seem larger than they are and making happiness feel fragile. It's why people stay alert for danger even when they're safe, why you replay embarrassing moments in your head, and why anxiety feels so persistent. But the eighth psychological fact is the most shocking, and the most transformative, because it reveals the true source of inner conflict. You don't fear the unknown nearly as much as you fear the unknown within yourself. What terrifies people is not the world outside, but the truths lurking beneath their own identity. The suppressed desires, the internal contradictions, the uncomfortable memories, and the potential they are afraid to unlock. This is driven by a mental process called cognitive dissonance. The deep discomfort that arises when your beliefs, actions, and identity don't align. Instead of confronting this dissonance, most people avoid it. They cling to old habits, justify destructive patterns, or reject ideas that challenge their worldview. Yet those who face this internal conflict gain access to a remarkable power: the ability to rewrite their personal narrative from the inside out. When you put all 8 of these psychological facts together, something profound becomes clear. Your mind is astonishingly powerful, but that power is hidden behind illusions, shortcuts, fears, and emotional shadows. You are not as logical as you think. You are not as observed as you feel. You are not as stuck as you assume. And you are far more influenced by the subconscious patterns of your mind than you could ever imagine. But awareness changes everything. Once you recognize the illusions, familiarity masquerading as truth, emotions disguised as logic, fear disguised as safety, you begin to reclaim control. The mind resists change, not because change is bad, but because the mind's first job is to protect you, even if that protection keeps you small. Understanding these psychological mechanisms doesn't just help you understand yourself. It helps you navigate the world with sharper perception, deeper empathy, and a type of clarity most people never achieve. And here's the real twist. The moment you become aware of how your mind actually works, is the moment it can no longer control you without your permission. That is the shocking power of psychological knowledge. Not that it explains the mind, but that it reveals how much of your life you can transform once you finally understand it. Now that you know these 8 psychological facts, which one surprised you the most? Leave it in the comments. And remember, your mind has more power than you imagine, but also more mysteries than you want to accept.